success for me long term would look like getting a job in my field, but hopefully one that I actually want or care about in some way would be tight.
Juggling classes, making friends, studying tips, saving money. We're talking about all things college and giving you advice with real college students. Featuring today's host, Juliette Lin. Welcome to the Campus Underground podcast. Sit back, relax, and learn new hacks.
Hello everyone, I'm your host Juliette Lin. This is Campus Underground, Season 5, Episode 3. Today we are talking to grad students about wrapping up their program and what's ahead. So excited to talk to you ladies today. Let's go around and do some introductions, your name, what you're studying.
I'm Mahima. I'm studying artificial intelligence, and I am currently in my last year. I'll be graduating in May.
Hey, I'm Erica. I'm studying dental medicine, and I'm also in my last year, graduating in May.
I'm Brianna. I'm finishing my PhD in space physics, and I'll probably be graduating in early fall.
I'm Emma. I am getting my master's in human resource management, and I'll be finishing my program this August.
Okay, y'all know the drill. We're going to do some Would You Rathers. The first question is, would you rather go to office hours or figure things out as you go?
Definitely in undergrad I went to office hours more, but I think I should have been going to office hours more also in my grad program. It's just that I don't have time to really go with like all the homework and research. So I think right now, just because of time, I'd rather just kind of figure it out on my own.
I think being in a virtual program, I am kind of figuring things out on my own. Like maybe I'll go to an advisor or maybe shoot a professor an email, but I feel like I'm not really utilizing some of those resources, and maybe I even should be. I'm kind of forging ahead on my own, which I wouldn't even say is necessarily advisable. But
yeah, is anyone going to office hours in grad school?
I would go to office hours. I feel like it's helped me connect with my professors a lot easier, which has helped with me stay on track with the course, but also with like letters of recommendation and just staying connected overall.
Yeah, I would also agree. I think office hours has been crucial for me, like you said, connecting, but also they're very enthusiastic. I think every professor I've been to office hours is happier there.
Yeah, they love when you come.
They're lonely.
Yeah.
They're so happy to have you.
Okay, so maybe we'll all be collectively going to office hours more in the future. And then would you rather finish what you started or completely change course when you're unsure of your path? I mean, y'all are pretty much almost done, but
Yeah.
I think I kind of changed paths in going back to school. I do a job right now full-time that's very unrelated to what I'm in school for. So I think that I kind of discovered that changing your path can be worth doing. Yeah, I think that's been a good choice for me.
Yeah, I think the same. Is just I've definitely changed my course of study a couple of times. I think at this point in my degree I would want to see it through, but I think it's always good to kind of follow where things might lead for you, and if there's an interesting opportunity that's maybe different than what you've done before but is calling you, I think it's usually worth the risk.
At what point did you make the switches? Was it during grad school or between undergrad and grad school?
It was mostly undergrad. I actually did a couple different areas of physics in undergrad, and I think even when I was applying to grad school, I applied to different programs because I wasn't entirely sure, even though I kind of had a hunch. But it really took probably until my first year of grad school to be absolutely sure.
I think I like to see things through. And at least with dentistry, I feel like there's a few different options you can kind of go to after you graduate. So it's kind of nice to finish up until this point where it's like, okay, I can be a general dentist, but I know that I still have options to kind of go in a different path in the future if I want to.
Ooh, okay, so juicy question here. Would you rather leave the program early if you're offered a job or stay the course?
It depends on how far I am in the grad school process. At this current point where I'm literally a month and a half away from finishing, I would probably try and negotiate with them and be like, hey, can you please just hold off for a few weeks?
Yeah.
Or can I like work remotely for a little bit? But if it was like really early on in my grad school career and the job was like super enticing, I might take the job.
Yeah, I guess I kind of I would have a similar viewpoint there. I think that I probably would take the job ultimately. I do think that my program being so condensed and really serving as just a piece of paper to get me to a different career path, I think is a little bit different than probably the true passion that fuels a lot of your longer term degrees, I would have to imagine. So maybe if I'd been offered a job really early on, I probably would have said like, yeah, that was the whole point anyway.
Yeah,
So,
right. If
sure.
your point
yeah.
is going to grad school to switch careers and you're offered that,
then that's the
you
career.
maybe don't
So
need it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my PhD definitely came from a point of passion. However, I think long term for my career goals, I still would need that PhD stamp.
Yeah.
So I would probably be a little worried that even if I got this job, I wouldn't have to go back. And I think if I was offered a job now, I'm just like, I think too close to being done that I would really want to wrap that up and then get a job after.
For me, I think it's a little different. I kind of have to stay the
Yeah,
course
yeah.
and finish, get fully licensed, and then I can work.
So it just depends on kind of your long-term goals if that degree on paper is really required. Yeah. I know, like, for my partner, she got a job offer while she was in her master's, and she did both full-time.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible,
And
definitely.
it is possible. It is just hard, so you got to just weigh what makes sense for you. Okay, would you rather start the job search right away or pursue more education like PhD or doing more research once you graduate?
If we're talking about from undergrad, I definitely would work for a little bit, which is what I did, just so I just wanted like a financial barrier, so that I didn't have to take out loans or anything immediately. I think I personally, my stance is working a little bit is always good.
Me personally, I was interested in specializing after school, so I applied for a residency to pursue my education into pediatrics. And I know some of my other classmates are going straight into the workforce or they're going to private practice. But I didn't feel like totally ready to be on my own yet. I think with residency, there's a lot of really good mentorship that comes from that. And just being able to kind of focus on one subsection of dentistry, which I think worked better for me.
Yeah, I think I'm like pretty done with school overall that I'm ready for a job. Although I know going from undergrad to the PhD, I actually did not want to jump straight into my program. Anyone who I talked to who had taken time before came into grad school feeling more sure, I think, about what they wanted to study, feeling more financially comfortable. And I wound up not really having that opportunity because I graduated in 2020. And so I had lost an internship. I had lost another potential post-bachelorate position. And so I wound up just jumping straight into grad school, which I'm really glad I did. But I think it's always good to take time to figure out what you want beforehand. I wish I would have taken the time if I could.
Would you rather choose a job based on salary or growth potential?
After I finished undergrad, it was definitely salary. Because I had just paid off all of my undergrad bills and I was like, oh, there's a giant hole in my pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now that I've finished my master's, I actually am willing to take a little less pay for like more of like a interesting job, a more stable job, because I think stability over the long term is like a little bit more important for me. And I think money will come in due time, but I think it's really important to do something you're interested in, so that you don't like burn yourself out.
Totally.
Yeah.
I really like my current job, but it doesn't afford me a lot of development opportunity, and that's part of the reason that I went back to school to change paths. I think that development is really important. And yeah, salary is obviously also really important, but the ability to grow within a company or even just develop skills to take you elsewhere is really, really valuable and something that I think shouldn't be overlooked when you're looking for a job. Like being in a job that is a little bit dead end is a tough place to be. Without that development opportunity, regardless of what you're paid.
I think it's been, like for me with the PhD program, these are typically like 5 to 7 year programs. And I think it's kind of really hard not to compare against like peers and friends of mine that have just gone straight into getting jobs or had shorter programs. Because there's kind of that idea that, you know, you've missed out on maybe building up a savings or income. And so there's kind of that rush that you want to catch up. But yeah, it's kind of been, at least for me, a bit of a battle because I still really want to grow and do the career that I planned for getting the degree. But yeah, also knowing that the money will come, but having waited for so long, it's hard not to be tempted, I think.
Yeah, I think coming right out of school, we're at like the perfect part in our lives and careers to really grow. And so I think I would choose a position that allows me to really learn and absorb as much as I can from people who have been working in that field a little bit longer, and then eventually, hopefully, finding a job that has a higher salary.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. It's like even if you take a job now and it's not that high paying, it could lead to your next job, like the skill sets you build, the passions you discover while you're there. And then would you rather start your own business or join an established company or organization? Would you start an independent dentistry?
Yeah.
I would love to open a dental practice. So at my dental school, we actually have a class that's focused on managing a dental practice, which is really, I think it's unique, but it's been such a huge help. We take it in our 4th year. And so we learn everything about like insurance and knowing how to hire staff and how much of their salary goes into whatever money that you're making. And then you can kind of see the cost analysis, the location, the patient population. So we actually get some really great resources from that class, which I feel really lucky.
Wow, that's great because you really get a practical understanding of what it would look like numbers-wise to
That's
actually
really
run your own
interesting.
business.
But I think it definitely takes time. It's like a really big commitment. But if I find maybe the right business partners to do it with, then down the line, I think that would be really fun.
Even if it's not like a full-time self-entrepreneurial business, I think it's always good to be a little like entrepreneurial, even if it's like you're like in my industry, like a lot of full-time people also freelance. So it doesn't have to be like you don't have to like stand up like a whole business model, but I think like having multiple streams of income is like a really good thing. And then if you can eventually make that your main thing, that's ideal because then you're answering to yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like not like you might think like, oh, if I start my own business, I'm going to make a full-time salary, but it doesn't always happen right away. So you can have the build up while doing both.
Yeah, I guess that would be like the same for me. Like, why not both? I think for me, I don't have a lot of the skill set maybe to lead something like self-starting, like my own business, but I would be interested. And I think there's definitely room in the future to do both. So I don't know if that's a cop-out answer, but
I know, I was like, it says would you rather, but why not both? Okay, here's the last would you rather pay back your student loan starting now or after you graduate?
I'm just paying down interest right now. I'm kind of waiting until after I graduate. I don't know if that's the right choice. It's the choice that I'm making, so yeah.
yeah, I think I would want them paid off as soon as possible. But
Yeah.
it can be hard sometimes still as a student.
I would say as soon as possible, but for me, it's looking like after graduation, I would start.
My philosophy is like if I can just pay it off in full now, like I can always make more money. I think if you have a good chunk of money, like definitely like put it towards that.
Pay it off
Yeah.
as you go when
Yeah.
the money comes in, when you have the ability to
Yeah.
do so. Okay, yeah, that was very fun. Okay, so now let's dive into some general discussions with everyone. What has been the hardest part of grad school for you, and what has it taught you?
I think the hardest part for me was managing a full-time job with part-time school, and then also like hobbies and like things I do outside of school. I kind of like pride myself on my time management, so when that starts to like get really, really difficult, it's like pretty frustrating because it's like, oh, like why can't I do this? But then you realize like you're adding like a whole nother life on top of your life. So that was pretty difficult, and I think like you have to just like utilize new tools and like new strategies. I think like your first semester you figure out what works and doesn't work for you, and you have to just like be very, very diligent.
Was there anything in particular that helped you?
Yeah, honestly, like Google Calendar, my entire life revolves around Google. If that for some reason goes down one day, I'm actually so screwed. Cause I use like the task function, I use the event function, I use the due date function. It's very, very useful.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. And what about for everyone else? What's been the hardest part?
I think the hardest part for me was just time management as well, especially with my second year. We had to balance a lot of didactics, but then also all of the lab work and sort of learning the introduction to patient care and a lot more dental-focused things. And it was just a lot all at once that you really had to stay on top of yourself. But I think what really helped me was using Google Calendar, having everything like written down of what I need to do and when. And then also just surrounding myself with my friends and my classmates who are all kind of doing the same thing. We just kept tabs on each other and made sure that no one was left behind. And that was super helpful to have that support.
Yeah, it's good to have a community of people that are all rallying towards the same goal and you can help each other out.
I guess I'll also say Google Calendar. The best app has been essential. I think also to like coming into young adulthood, learning independence, but also knowing when to ask for help. When is it more of a time sink to keep trying to do something on your own when you could easily, call up your mom if it's a personal issue, or call up your advisor if you're stuck on something with research and you haven't gotten anywhere. I think learning when to seek guidance from others, but also becoming self-autonomous in my work, and managing lifestyle, being intentional about doing my hobbies so I still have them, seeing friends. I think a lot of those has been just managing, I think, has been like the most challenging.
I think one of the hardest things for me has been letting go of some of my type A-ness, my type A personality, which does serve you well in some ways to prepare you for the load of balancing, work and life and school. But I think that it also certainly makes me my own worst enemy in a lot of scenarios. Like my anxiety around, a due date might be pretty much self-manufactured in the sense that it's actually not due for a week and a half. Like it is something that I've had to kind of keep in check. Like, are you really behind, or are you just your definition of struggling, So
yeah, totally. And that's such a good skill for life, and like when you start, or like you're obviously already working, but in the workforce as well, because it's like you don't have to do things.
Yeah, sometimes it's not that serious.
It's not, or you can ask
Yeah.
for an extension.
Yeah.
It's like just knowing your bandwidth and not
Yeah.
overstressing yourself. Got it. How do you think about what success looks like for each of you after grad school? Is it trying to have a job right away, finding balance, protecting your mental health? Like, what are those main priorities for you after you graduate?
I think that because I already have a job, that I'd like to move forward, but I am comfortable where I am currently. I have that little bit of a safety net kind of built in that I would very much like to get a job in my field. That's definitely success for me. But I think that I will have a little bit of the time to make sure that it's maybe the right one. At least I hope so, in the case that I already do have an income, So I think that success for me long term would look like getting a job in my field, but hopefully one that I actually want or
Yeah,
care
that's
about in some
important.
way would be tight.
I feel not great putting like all my factors of success into getting a job, but I think other things come into play. Like I am hoping that the job is one that's right for me. I hope it's in like a location I'm happy to live in, and that that I still, even after that, will have time for my friends and hobbies. I think still being able to have a balance in my life, I think, would be success for me.
I think for me, success would be just working in a practice where I feel like I'm really comfortable in the location, and I feel like I kind of have built this community of my patients that I'm able to treat and feel like I'm making a positive difference or helping get them out of pain or build their confidence with their smile. I think any sort of thing,
Yeah, so cute.
anything like that makes me feel like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, and I would feel more successful.
Yeah, I think success just for me is like flexibility to do things that I want to do, and my job supports that. Like I want to like live somewhere nice. Like I have like hobbies outside of work. I want to travel. Like I want to like visit my family. Like these are all things that require financial compensation to do. And then I want to be able to like plan for my future. So for me, like success is like comfortability and flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is your biggest goal after grad school, and what keeps you motivated to reach that, whether that is like a financial goal, a lifestyle goal?
Probably just a job where I really do love doing research. I love the creative output of it. I love that I've gotten to be autonomous and authoritative in my research, and so I think an overall goal would be to keep doing that, to kind of own my work and be mature as a scientist, to be someone who maybe runs a lab, and have my own students, and just And also, I guess following our last question, I do still want the comfort of like flexibility and still being able to do things outside of my work, because I think there's lots I enjoy in my life, and some of it is science and some of it isn't. And I just want to be able to do both, I think.
Is there like a specific research that you'd be interested in?
Yeah, probably keeping up with space science and space weather, kind of also under the umbrella of heliophysics. I think it's something that people don't think about often, but does affect us on Earth every day. Maybe not on the ground, but with communication signals, with satellites in space, and even as we keep sending people into space, this type of research I think is critical. And so it's something that I still want to keep doing for at least the next couple years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think that my ultimate goal, so I currently work for an environmental nonprofit, and I really love the nonprofit world. My ultimate goal is to get a job in human resources for a nonprofit, because doing something that makes a real difference matters a lot to me. So I say ultimate goal because I don't know how likely it is for that to be, my first job out of my program. I think I said earlier, maybe I'll have to work for a bank for a little bit or something. But my ultimate goal and real success for me would be to be doing human resources work, but for an organization that makes a difference.
I would say my goal is to eventually open up a dental practice, and after doing some patient care, just kind of lean into that business aspect of dentistry a little bit more. But I would also really love to open a practice in a population that's a little bit more vulnerable, or where there's less access to care, and try to help break those barriers to care a little bit. I think that's something I've become very passionate about.
Oh, I love that.
That's so
Yeah,
sweet.
it sounds like a good balance of like trying to make impact in your community, trying to do stuff you're passionate about, and also having afforded the life that you want to live. That's awesome. And what do you feel more confident about now than when you started, whether that's in academics, with your money mindset, or just managing your life overall? And where do you think you built that confidence?
For me, it's definitely academics, because I felt really anxious about going back to grad school, because it had been like 3 years since I had done any schooling, and a lot of the courses are super math heavy, there's like research projects and stuff, and I was working in industry, and industry, for CS at least, you don't always do that kind of math anymore. So I definitely feel a lot more better about, maybe I'm like not like better at math or anything, but at least I know how to study for those topics a little bit better. And then I actually understand like why it's important to the content that we're learning.
Yeah.
I would say I got a lot better at time management, and that was just from struggling the first 2 years. I think also my confidence has grown a lot as a grad student, and then also as a dental provider. And that just came from practice, and also just from studying all the coursework. I think now that I'm feeling more competent and more knowledgeable, that's helped me feel more confident as a dental provider and able to talk to my patients a lot better.
Yeah, I think for me, it would be trusting that I have ideas that are maybe not the best ideas, but they're good ideas, and they deserve to be investigated or heard. I think I was lacking a lot of confidence in some of my research ideas starting out in grad school, and now I feel like maybe I still don't know everything, but at least I know where to go from here, and I can think of where to bring a project that maybe I couldn't have done, where I was too shy to bring up in the past.
Yeah, I think kind of similar to what everyone has mentioned. I feel like my confidence and maybe my imposter syndrome has gotten a little bit better. I think that that's something that's come a little bit with age. And I know when I first entered like the workforce after I graduated from undergrad was something I really struggled with, and I think is getting better every day. That kind of like you were saying, that my ideas are worthy of sharing and aren't, any less valuable because maybe I'm younger than other people in the room, or a woman, or it's been a journey for sure.
Yeah, I feel like as you get older, you just gain more confidence in yourself, and when you're more familiar with the material, and like you feel more comfortable speaking out about like, these are my ideas, and they're valid. So that's great that everyone has sort of started to lean into that confidence. Yeah, and then just as a follow-up, is there anything like in terms of the financial lens that you've gotten more confident with? Like I know for me over the years, just doing my taxes, it's like now I know that skill, and just kind of like negotiating salaries and stuff. Is there anything financially that y'all have gained more confidence in while in grad school?
This might be like not really the answer that you're looking for, but I always thought I was more broke than I was. You know what I mean?
So
and
say more.
Being a grad student, and like in the middle of grad school, I actually stopped working full time, and I suddenly felt like I had no money for some reason. But like just like doing research at school with professors, like getting like small little jobs here and there, and like being able to actually have more time to focus on my grad school work, I was like, oh, this isn't actually all bad, and yes, you can like survive like on like grad school budget.
Okay, yeah.
So just like understanding like what is actually the value of the money you have, like how much money do things actually cost, like, and just understanding that it's like not all as dire as you think it is.
Yeah, I think it feels stressful if you're used to making the consistent paycheck every 2 weeks, you know, exactly, versus going into more like part-time stuff or stuff that's a little more flexible in hours and feeling like, oh no. But it sounds like now looking back, you're like, oh, I actually had enough money. I didn't need to
And it's like,
be
it's
as
okay.
stressed.
And that also prepares you for like, because the workforce that we're entering is like really uncertain right now. So like having like that like level of uncertainty in grad school like kind of prepares you for like what uncertainty may come in the job market.
I think it definitely like gives a perspective on, wow, I can actually like I can quantify like what I need to actually live versus what I want. And so I think it's made me definitely more eager to make more money in the future. But it is good. Like I do feel like I've gained that financial literacy and know that, hey, this is doable. This is like, I can make it work.
It's
definitely
possible to do grad school on a budget.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that I will make more money with my graduate degree than I currently make, which was part of the reason that I chose to go back to school. So I am feeling hopeful about my future financially in that sense, that I think I'm setting myself up for a little bit of a stronger foundation, hopefully.
I love that. Yes. Hopefully for all of you making more money. And speaking of money, has your plan to pay for school changed since undergrad? Like last episode, we kind of talked about if some people had like more financial support from their family in undergrad versus grad school. Is there a different way that you've been approaching how to pay for it?
Yeah, I didn't have loans for undergrad. I was really, really fortunate, and now I do. So that's obviously a huge change. My program's pretty short, so it is a more approachable amount of money that I am in debt, I'll say. I guess picking away at it, paying down interest, throwing a chunk at it when I get, a little bit more money maybe set aside that I can continue to pay it down. Definitely very different than my undergrad experience, though. So it does stress me out for sure.
Yeah. How were you able to wrap your head around it? Were you like, okay, I have a job, so I'm making income, so now I can take a little bit of the risk, or what?
Kind of. I guess my family and I sat down and we looked at the numbers and we decided, yeah, that's some money. But again, it's an approachable amount of money. Like I know people who are in like the 100K debt of undergrad. That's a very real reality. That is not the reality of my present grad program. So I felt that it would be something that I could eventually pay down, essentially, and that it would be worth it. The investment in this moment would be worth it down the line, and I would eventually get out from under it. That's kind of the only way I could look at it. Was
seeing it as an investment and just knowing it's a manageable amount that you could eventually.
Yeah.
Mine was kind of the same way. I went to a less expensive undergrad, so I was able to graduate without any loans from them. So I felt a little bit more comfortable about having to take out loans for grad school. And it was definitely shocking. It is a lot to wrap your head around. It's like, wow, it's a lot of money. But I think eventually everyone just kind of accepts that it's a part of the journey. And once we graduate, as long as we get a decent job as a dentist, I think we're able to sort of pay it off. We do have some resources from school that kind of help us try to figure out how we're going to pay everything. But yeah, it's definitely something to adjust to.
Yeah, I had an opposite experience. Like I did take out loans during undergrad, and I was paying some of it, like my parents were paying some of it. So it was like a really like joint effort there. I did not take out any loans for my master's program because I worked for 3 years and I like amassed like a good amount of like education savings, and I worked full time for I'd say like 80% of my master's program. So I really just chipped away at it on my own, made set up a payment plan. Like the school offers like a payment plan where they break up your tuition every month, and that was the way I was able to just do it without any loans. So that's kind of the difference there. I think like just because I had a good like blanket amount of savings, I was like, okay, like I can tackle this without any loan.
Yeah. And did you pay off your undergrad student loans before?
Yeah,
thinking about grad school?
almost immediately, because I was fortunate enough to get a really well-paying like software engineering job. And yeah, I was able to do it pretty quickly.
Wow. And I feel like that's scary though, going from like your parents are helping you and you're paying some to now this is like fully your responsibility. So was there anything like mindset wise that you had to overcome?
I just kind of like was like, oh, just be better about tracking your expenses and like kind of only spend on auxiliary things like when it's like needed.
Yeah.
So like I think you just have to kind of like shift your budgeting a little bit.
So I guess like I was fortunate enough that through like scholarship from my college and also my parents that I didn't have any loans from undergrad. And then for my PhD, we get paid a stipend. But I think because of how small the stipend is, I definitely have not been saving much money, if any at all, really, during my program. And that's kind of about 5 to 6 years that I could have been contributing to retirement or investments or just other, I guess, secondary but still important financial, things around financial savings. And so I think when I do graduate and get a job, I'm still going to have to, like, I definitely wasn't going to do like a free-for-all spending, like making the big bucks, going crazy, but I am going to have to be mindful that, this was, an investment, and now that I'm out of that period, I still have to now build up my savings and still take things slow and take things like very deliberately, I think, with my finances, just to ensure that I'm more comfortable going down the line into my future.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you all sharing more about that, because I feel like the financial burden is really scary for a lot of people. So I think just being more open about it and being able to hear all your different experiences has been really helpful. Just to wrap things up, is there any advice that you would have for any listeners out there who are in grad school or about to go into grad school?
I would say grad school is really what you make of it. So make sure that you engage with your community. And it can feel really easy to kind of like slip into the shadows when you're a grad student, because like there's not as many like events and stuff for you, but like there's definitely a lot of community. Talk to your professors, and like be engaged in class. Like I think the professors like just kind of expect you, they like don't have as much expectation on you to like pay attention in class and stuff, because they're like, oh, you guys are grad students, but like
they're not like checking your attendance and forcing you to sit there.
Not really. So it's like you have to
want to be there and show up. Yeah.
Exactly.
I would say to try and get more involved with the school outside of classes, whether that's through clubs or through sports that your classmates are all a part of. I think it's really important to kind of get away from the classroom a little bit and still kind of build your community, find your friend groups, and just do something that takes your mind away from what you're learning in school, but still staying connected in class, and doing things like community service or anything like that is really beneficial.
Yeah, what kind of extracurriculars have you done as a dentistry student?
For me, I really like music. I feel like that's a big part of my life, and I've been playing the drums since I was like 8 or 9. So a few of us in my class are in a music group where we sometimes just meet up to sing karaoke, but other times we'll go to like different senior centers, or sometimes like there's one that we do virtually where we just kind of sing to a veteran's home, or we'll perform songs for them. So I feel like we get to have a lot of fun by showing our musical sides, but we also get to kind of give back to those communities and hopefully bring them some smiles through music.
Cute. That's awesome. Definitely keeps you motivated while you're in school.
Yeah, I would definitely say to anyone starting, like, try and stay curious. If you're going like the research route, like be open to opportunities, be open to ideas, to collaborations. But yeah, and invest in yourself, not just within the academic setting, but outside. Like find your hobbies, find things to do that fulfill you outside of schoolwork.
How did you find time to like invest in yourself or build that up for yourself?
Yeah, I guess putting it on the Google Calendar, kind of like, and I've done
Google
that.
Calendar.
Yeah,
The Google Calendar,
which I have done. If I feel like that I really like doing art. I've just started knitting, and there's been times where it's very easy for multiple weeks to go by and suddenly it's just like work is caught up with you and you're not really doing anything in your free time. And so being intentional about it, even if you have to put it on your calendar, even like go to trivia with your friends, like just doing something I think fun and just really making sure you're putting that into your life. Like you kind of have to really, intentional I think is the only good word to say. Like you have to be intentional.
Yeah, it's really healthy too, I feel like. So if you feel like you've been working too hard in school or you're looking ahead and it's just classes and work, like just schedule 2 hours of find something fun to do and just make it happen. That's great advice.
Scheduling periods of time to go see your friends, periods of time to go take a break. The 2 hours that you are definitely going to work on that specific paper, schedule that in. When I first started, I was hopping around a lot, and I don't think I was being very intentional with my time. So I guess my advice to someone just starting would be to keep that intention, whether it is your me time or your school time or your full-time or part-time job time, and allow that to be the thing that you are focusing on for that period of time. I definitely have struggled a lot throughout this experience, hopping back and forth between a work project I was doing to a school thing, a paper I was writing, and it doesn't serve you. You have to allow that time to be for that specific task.
I feel like a lot of the common themes of what we talked about is protecting your time, protecting your mental health, protecting your money, and just knowing that this is an investment that if you put in the work now that it'll pay off. This was such an amazing conversation. Thank you all so much for your time. Excited for you all to graduate soon and be in the next stages of your careers. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode. Hopefully you took away some nuggets of wisdom. I'm always writing things down in my notes when I'm listening to a podcast. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it and have a great rest of your day.